gentlemen, and welcome here as we get set for race number 15 of the season for the NNSCRA Hersheys Cup Series non-charter series. We are here at Arizona Speedway under the lights for some nighttime racing, and should be a very interesting one because this racetrack in particular is one of those mile-and-a-half racetracks where it seems like every time we come here, it comes down to fuel strategy, and obviously there's quite a bit on the line as we're heading into like almost pretty much the final 10 races of the season before chases begin for Pizza Hut X Series and the Hersheys Cup Series main event. Of course, the clock ticking down for these drivers in terms of trying to get themselves up into the top 5 in the point stands to have themselves in line of getting one of the vacant charters once Season 4 ends and we begin Season 5. We've had a number of different race winners this season, and T Vernio lining up on the pole here tonight alongside of P Minnick, a couple of drivers who are yet to find victory lane this season. Vernio, a former winner in his career, but has not won yet this season. P Minnick looking for his first Hersheys Cup Series non-charter win overall of his career here this evening. Vernio coming into this race, not exactly having the best of seasons. He finds himself 34th in points, but P Minnick, on the other hand, while he didn't have the greatest of runs last week at Phoenix, he still finds himself inside the top 10 in the point stands in the 10th position. So he has an opportunity tonight, maybe with a win, to continue his progress up towards the top 5 in the point standings. K Shearer will line up in 3rd place. Shearer is 2nd in the point stands, 14 points back from the points leader D Gilbert, who rolls off from 6th. So those two will be engaged in a battle tonight. So let's get the command.
Drivers, start your engines!
And then the rest of the top 5 coming into this race in the point stands, K Farrell, D Olson, they're still in the top 5. They kind of flip-flop 3rd and 4th place in points after last week at Phoenix. And 5th in the points, we got a new driver up in the top 5, and that is D Culpepper. Now in that 5th spot, S Gonzalez is now up to 6th. He jumped up 2 spots last week. Seth Cole and S Henley have now dropped to 7th and 8th after they had poor showings last week. S Pollard III up 4 spots to the 9th position, and P Minnick dropped 1 spot to 10th place. J Deaver R is in 11th and 12th place. Last week's winner, J Zoerlein, has jumped up 11 spots with his win last week. So we're starting to see some new faces popping up here, like Pollard, like Minnick, like Zoerlein, who want to make their bid to get into the top 5 in the point stands. And as stated, there's still quite a ways to go in the season, so these drivers still have ample opportunity. 41 laps here this evening. The top 7 finishers obviously will make their way into the main event race here in a couple of nights for the Hersheys Cup Series Charter Series. And this should give us a general idea of what to expect here this weekend perhaps as well at Arizona Speedway. T Vernio's Chevrolet, P Minnick's Buick bring us down. 41 laps on tap, and the green flag is out at Arizona. A couple of areas where they looked like they were thinking about making it 3 wide, but they all settled it back out to double wide for the moment. This track can hold them 3 wide though, so if they attempt it, it's not like we're going to be, whoo, they're going to wreck. So we'll see if anybody chests the waters 3 wide as D Olson clears for 2nd, tried the crossover move on Vernio there into 3, couldn't quite get there. Might make the move here on the front straightaway though as he gets a nice run there out of turn 4. And there he goes, he'll go to the inside in turn 1. So Vernio leads the first lap, but doesn't look like he'll lead the 2nd lap. Olson to the lead, K Shearer will follow in 2nd. Alex Miller right there in the 3rd spot, and there's T Deaver R currently trying to get up there. He's in the 5th position. T Deaver R, I believe right now, is the 2nd lowest running driver in the point standings with a win this season. Nope, 3rd lowest actually. The lowest driver in the point standings with a win this season is Henry Nova. He's 35th in points. 2nd lowest is 2-time winner this season, Cody Smart, believe it or not. Cody is currently 31st in points, and then T Deaver R, who won back at Rio de Janeiro, the 2nd race of the season, is 26th in points. D Olson and K Shearer, as mentioned, both come into this race in the top 5 in the point stands in position. if the season were to end, to be chartered rides next year in the Hersheys Cup Series. Bad news for them is, while they're out in front here in the top 2 spots, the driver they're trying to run down for the points lead just slipped into the 3rd position, that 4 car of Daniel Gilbert, a 2-time winner this season. 14-point advantage he had over K Shearer coming into this race. Now it's only 13 points as Shearer has 1+ position over Daniel Gilbert, and that may not last long. Look at this battling up here at the front. How much more important is it for these drivers? All 3 of them have been to victory lane at least once this season, and they're all right now basically battling each other to try and pick up their 2nd, and for Daniel Gilbert's case, 3rd win of the season, to try and continue to pad their opportunity of staying in the top 5 in the points. And I believe the caution may be out. It is indeed the caution out here on lap number 5. So we got at least about 4.5 laps of green flag racing in, which I think is a good sign for what we're going to be seeing this race weekend. Like I said, this track seems to kind of cater to the kind of fuel strategy races we expect for mile-and-a-halves. And I'm not necessarily certain that if they pitted now, they could make it the rest of the way. Looks like an incident up there in turn 1, and there looks like an early end to someone's night as well. You saw white smoke all the way through the turns 1, but then in the exit of turn 2, there was a kind of a lingering plume of blackish gray smoke, which is usually the indication of some kind of mechanical failure, and that may have ended someone's night very early here at Arizona. Let's see if drivers will take the opportunity under this caution to come to pit road. K Shearer almost looks like his Pittsburgh Pirates Chevrolet almost indicating he's going to come to the pit lane, and he is. I wasn't certain if he was faking or not. Daniel Gilbert will stay out though, as will Tyler Deaver. There's Carson Gum. Number of others deciding to stay out. Culpepper, Cole Deaver, like Tripe and T Vernio, the pole sitter. Whereas K Shearer, Daniel Olson, Alex Miller, and others decide they're going to come to pit road, give up the track position, and get 4 fresh tires and fill it up with Sunoco racing fuel. That is Chelsea Bowles, the Cheetos Dodge Dart, who is currently sitting on pit road, so we have to assume she was at least part of the reason for the caution. So let's take a look at a replay of what happened as LaPlante, I believe, did beat K Shearer off. So Austin LaPlante's team gets it done. He'll be the first one to restart with fresh rubber when we go back to green. This is going into turn 1, and looks like they were going to go 3 wide. Caleb Farrell on the bottom, Chelsea Bowles in the middle, and Chelsea, I don't know if she took too high a line going into the corner or if Ryan George just didn't really give her any room. And she just gets hooked right up into the outside wall. Ryan George getting some damage on the at least right front of his machine. And you can see all the traffic that was able to get down there on the bottom and avoid 2 things that we were very lucky to escape. One is other drivers piling into that wreck, and secondly, a lot of times at these kind of tracks, when drivers go down there to the bottom and sometimes to the apron to avoid wrecks, they then come back up in front of somebody, and we usually have a follow-up wreck. We didn't have that happen, so we got away with one here. 2-car incident in turn number 1. Chelsea Bowles looks like her evening is over. Ryan George with some damage. We'll have to document, see if he's up to speed, as we are under caution for the first time here tonight at Arizona Speedway. Lights are out top the pace car. We will go back green flag racing. And now comes the big question. What was the fuel window for these drivers here tonight? Now let's speculate that they were able to make it anywhere from 30 to 32 laps. That would put the drivers that just came to pit road right within the fuel window. And we'd have to see if this thing does go into a green flag run all the way to the end. These drivers that decide to stay out, they're undoubtedly going to have to pit before we reach the checkered flag. But what about those other guys back there like Austin LaPlante and K Shearer, Daniel Olson? Are they going to have to pit again here if the thing goes into a long green flag run, or are they good to go on fuel now? We will have to wait and see. Daniel Gilbert is the leader over Tyler Deaver, Carson Gum, Tripe and T Vernio, Cole Deaver, and then it's David Culpepper, last week's winner Jonathan Zoerlein, Alex Gray, M McIntire, and Chloe Ericsson. That was your top 10 as we go back to green. Austin LaPlante was the first car to come off pit road. He restarted back in the 23rd position, along with K Shearer and those others that did come to pit road. 1 car out of the race after this, that being Chelsea Bowles. The rest of the field, all 42 cars, still running and still currently on the lead lap. Battle is on for second. This is big for Daniel Gilbert being able to be out in front. Daniel Gilbert, before that caution came out, hadn't led a lap yet, but then led a lap under caution when he decided not to come to pit road, and so therefore he's going to get a valuable bonus point to counter the bonus point that was gained by K Shearer when he was out in front leading this race. Gilbert pulling away because the battle is on for second, and it is heating up between about 6-7 different drivers right at the moment. Cole Deaver going to move into that second position. Alex Gray moves to third as they get by T Vernio. And you got to think, too, that you're going to see these drivers racing and maybe racing a little more sloppily than we would expect with the fact that they are running on already worn tires. They're not running on fresh rubber. So as that tire starts to go away, it's going to make it a lot more difficult for these drivers to be making passes. So they want to make the passes here as soon as possible before the field starts getting spread out. Vernio beginning to free fall a little. Battle for fifth is on. John Cittadino going to take a peek to the inside of David Culpepper. Culpepper moves down to block and will take away whatever run Cittadino might have had. Jonathan Zoerlein right there, last time out's winner at Phoenix. Dominated that race, led every single lap. Right now running solidly just outside of the top 10. I believe he's currently scored... He might actually be in 10th, actually, the way that I'm looking at the moment. He might actually be 9th, according to my scoring. We'll have to see when he crosses the line here, running right now behind the Buick of M McIntire, and they do have Zoerlein scored actually up in the 8th spot now. Whoa! A little contact there with M McIntire. David Culpepper nearly making contact with T Vernio, who I believe had some contact in turn 1 with the 77 of John Cittadino. So you're starting to see now with these drivers with worn tires, they're kind of losing grip. Alex Gray was able to get around Cole Deaver. He will take the second position and now will set his sights on trying to reel in the 4 of Daniel Gilbert, who he is slowly reeling in. He cut down the advantage between himself and Gilbert by about a 10th. Question being, though, when are these drivers going to come to pit road? I mean, as we said, these drivers, there's no way they can make it the entire way on fuel, and these drivers didn't come to pit road under that caution, which what I'm hoping is our only caution, because I'd love to see this race end under fuel strategy, since that's what Arizona Speedway, at least in my history, has been very famous for. So while we look up here and we see the 4 of Gilbert, we see the 0 of Alex Gray, the 66 of Deaver, the 77 of Cittadino, we have to bear in mind they cannot make it the entire race on one tank of fuel, the fuel that they currently have. They are going to have to pit at some point, which means that this race could easily fall into the hands of whoever is running the highest of the drivers who did come to pit road under that caution, which is right there. K Shearer has now fought his way up almost into the top 10. He's running in the 13th position after restarting back, I think it was around the 27th spot. So K Shearer right now is in the catbird seat, if you will, of having the lead cycle around to him when all the drivers ahead of him are going to have to at some point dart to pit road. Question being, though, like I said, what was the fuel window with K Shearer and others coming to pit lane? Did that mean they were good to go the rest of the way on fuel? Or are they going to also have to come to pit road at some point before the close of this race? You may not get a chance to find out. Boy, look at this back here, 3 wide and 2 different rows. Shearer, Cars, Navarro, oh, contact! They saved it. Navarro's up and into the wall, but they saved it. Shearer getting up into Noah Cars, who got up into Angel Navarro, but fortunately, all drivers had the wherewithal to kind of get out of that situation, and we didn't have a big wreck there. Tough break for Angel Navarro, though, who was running up just inside the top 10, and now he's going to drift back after brushing the wall, losing a ton of momentum. K Shearer has fought his way now up into the 10th position. The 30 car is coming. Let's not forget as well, he has fresher rubber than these drivers ahead of him. Carson Gum going to move by Dougie Shears. That will move him to the 5th spot. And we may have a battle for the lead momentarily. No, we won't, because we're going to have pit stops. Daniel Gilbert is in, along with Cole Deaver. And now this is very interesting with them coming to pit road now. Carson Gum's in along with Tyler Deaver. This is very interesting. The reason I say it's interesting is because the question is, there's Seth Colin, Are these drivers coming in because they're running out of fuel, or are they coming in because they think the fuel window is somewhere around 20 to 22 laps? And so they're going to come to pit road now. If that's the case, if that's the fuel window, then we can expect to see K Shearer and company back down pit road somewhere between, I would say, laps 27 to 29. Since they only have about 5 extra laps of fuel than everybody else did when we started this race. Alex Gray, though, deciding not to come to pit road. He will keep the lead. Looks like Citadino came to pit road, as did Sean Henley. No, Sean Henley actually stayed out still. So he inherits third. Second place right now is K Shearer, though. That 30 car is strong. I wouldn't bet against him to maybe have a shot at winning his second race of the season, as he's been able to fight his way up through traffic after restarting back in the mid-20s. Alex Gray is in, and K Shearer will now go back to the front. Sean Henley there in second. Now, I believe Henley also was one of the drivers who came to pit road under that caution. So this is actually the battle for the lead going on right now. Interesting fact, Sean Henley, the only driver out of Twinks Racing that hasn't won a race yet this season, whether it be charter or non-charter. Dylan Poach and James McLeod, each with 2 wins over in the Charter Series. Steven Gonzalez with a win at Charlotte a couple of weeks ago in the non-charter series. So Sean Henley trying to complete the sweep for Twinks Racing. And here comes Jordan Lopez into the mix there in the 45. Lopez was strong last week at Phoenix. Raced his way into the main event after finishing in the top 7. I think he finished third last week at Phoenix, if I remember correctly. And he's going to actually propel Sean Henley to the race lead. Look and see. I'm pretty sure it was a third place finish for Lopez. And it was a 6th place finish. Close. Maybe not. Lopez almost gets Sean Henley at the line. So Henley will get a valuable bonus point for leading that lap. Well-needed bonus point for a driver that came into this race 8th in the points. And now Jordan Lopez will go to the point. After his good run last week, Lopez jumped up to 29th in points, but he certainly needs a lot better finishes to be able to continue to work his way back up through the point stands. Think back to Jordan Lopez, where he was one of those non-charter drivers who raced his way into the Great American Race Daytona 500. Was looking like it was going to be a great season for that team, but they hit some hard luck in the midway point of the season, and now they're trying to combat it with some good runs here later on in the season, heading closer and closer towards the end of the season. And of course, for the other 2 series, Pizza Hut X Series and Hershey's Cup Series Charter Series, their chase for the championship. He's also trying to get his Pizza Hut X Series career going again here after having an early win. He's still running up in the point standings at least, but now you see, there comes Lopez, here comes Henley. That was a little bit sooner than I expected them to come to pit road. Becca Tellier is in, along with Zachary Stultz, Charles Jackson, Joshua Sekuli, Caleb Farrell, and Elijah Gilbert. DJ Kurtis just finishing up his service. So that's what I meant when I said I didn't think that these drivers that did come to pit road under that caution were going to be able to make it the entire way still without having to make at least a second pit stop. So very interesting, drivers come to pit road. I mean, let's be honest, it kind of worked out for K Shearer in a way. He was able to get fresher rubber than everybody. He was able to work his way back up to the front. So, you know, kudos to him. But now he's given up all that track position as he's going to be coming to pit road. Henry Nova there, he's going to be on pit road, and not certain who this is going to cycle the lead around to. We'll keep it with K Shearer because even before these pit stops began, he had worked his way up into the top 10. So we'll see who he comes out behind once they complete the service on his Chevrolet out of Srigley Motorsports. There's LaPlante, who had actually beaten K Shearer off pit road when they came to the pit lane back on lap 5. Looks like he came in a lap earlier than K Shearer did. Shearer had fought his way closer up to the front of the field, though, than LaPlante had. And now here comes Henry Nova, and here comes K Shearer. So now let's see where Shearer comes out in line with everybody else. I think the lead may actually cycle around to the 77 of John Citadino. The way it's looking. And indeed it does. Citadino's going to be the race leader. Alex Gray will be second. Third place, I believe, is going to be Tyler Deaver, it looked like. Fourth, Daniel Gilbert, and Cole Deaver now in fifth. Sixth place, Jordan Lopez. Seventh, Jonathan Zoerlein. Battles on for the 8th spot. That's Dougie Shears and Matt McIntyre. And then Carson Gum now is in the 10th spot 11th Noah Cars, 12th Becca Tellier, 13th David Culpepper, 14th Sean Henley. Phil Parker is going to be in, I believe, 16th with Charles Jackson 17th. And then here's a battle around the 18th, 19th, 20th position with Trace Williams, Sakuli, K Shearer back in this now with Zachary Stultz and Henry Nova. So what I love about these fuel strategy races, you never know who's going to pop out in front, and it is Cittadino in the 77, who is another driver that's trying to complete a sweep for a team in terms of a driver going to victory lane here this season. Matt Haas won the chartered race at Talladega. Seth Cole ended up winning the non-charter race at, I believe it was Texas. And Cittadino trying to complete that sweep, but he's going to have to hold off Alex Gray, as in a couple of laps it will be 10 laps to go. And now these drivers, based on when they came to pit road, they are going to be able to make it the rest of the way on fuel. So it's basically down now to see who's got the best long-run car. Things are so spread out, I don't see the likelihood of a caution flag coming out here to finish this thing off. So it's just come down to who's got the strongest car here in the closing stages of this thing. Alex Gray, looks like he and Cittadino, their car's almost on an even keel. It's been steadily just around 0.4 of a second Cittadino has had over Alex Gray for the last couple of laps. Gray has not been able to yet close in the distance. I think these two came to pit road on the same lap, so they're just around the same for tire wear. Gained a little bit of ground that time, did Alex Gray. Best battle going on now is a three-way fight for that third position. Tyler Deaver has it. Look at Jordan Lopez fighting his way up. He just got by Daniel Gilbert for 4th, and now he's going for 5th. Remember, Jordan Lopez was out in front for a little bit of this race. Got himself good track position based on his pit strategy, and now he's going to fight his way by Tyler Deaver. That 45 car could be the fastest car and the strongest car on the track right now out of the top 5 competitors. And he will complete the pass through turn 1. So move Lopez into 3rd, and now we got to see, he's got time. Can he run down the top 2, and can he bypass them, looking for his first win of the season? He'll have to deal with Alex Gray first before he can try getting to Cittadino, who still continues to maintain a little bit more than a 0.3 of a second advantage between himself and Alex Gray. Last time by 0.34, this time 0.36. And they are going to have to deal with the car of Ryan George, who was involved in our only caution of the evening. More than likely, they'll have to deal with him before this race is over. So for Cittadino, he wants to obviously encounter that 91, that some portion of the track that's not going to hold him up. Bad news for him, though, is that car of Jordan Lopez is now hounding Alex Gray for the 2nd position, and he appears to be the strongest car right now, as he's going to get to the inside of Gray and try and take that 2nd spot. Cittadino going to have to do a lot of mirror driving, or else he's going to have to hope Alex Gray is going to hold Jordan Lopez up, and he does not. Here comes Lopez. Big run through 2, and he is going to battle possibly for the lead going down here into 3. Cittadino to the inside of Ryan George. He'll get by and put him a lap down. Lopez, though, was able to also clear the 91, and now he's going to try and take the top position away from John Cittadino. Thought he might actually try and make the move down there into 1, but he did not. Now he's going to stick it down to the bottom. Cittadino trying to pinch him, take away his momentum, but it's not going to work. Jordan Lopez going to go out in front, and he will go to the race lead. And I think right now, I think you could basically put a fork in this race. I think that car is going to be dominating here in the end. I don't think anybody's going to be able to catch that 45 car. Nobody of these top 5 have been even able to put up a fight against Jordan Lopez when he's bypassed them for position. And Lopez looks like he's starting to possibly pull away. That 45 car is strong. And I think you're going to have a hard time getting up there and battling with him to try and take that top position away. Jordan Lopez, this is obviously going to be huge for him in twofold. Number 1, this is going to help him as far as making it into the Hersheys Cup Series main event race, but also it gains some experience for the series that he runs full-time in for points for a championship Pizza X Series race tomorrow night when he drives that 51 car. He's already a former winner this season. A second win this season would obviously give him almost a golden ticket into the Pizza Hut X Series chase for the championship. So this is obviously gaining him a lot of valuable experience of what he could possibly apply in tomorrow night's Pizza Hut X Series race here at Arizona. Crossing the line, it'll be 4 laps to go for Jordan Lopez, and you see the gap between himself and John Cittadino continuing to grow. Cittadino's in second, Tyler Deaver third. Gilbert now moves by Alex Gray. That's for fourth. Gray back to fifth. Sixth place is going to be right now. Now it's Charles Jackson, and seventh is Matt McIntire. He right now holds the final transfer spot into the main event here in 2 nights' time. A couple of drivers back there would love to get that spot from him. Jonathan Zoerlein, David Culpepper, and Becca Tellier. So right now, the hunted is the 26th car of Matt McIntire. Apologize for that brief cut. We've got pit stops going on here. Angel Navarro was just on pit road, as was Sean Henley, but it's the white flag displayed for Jordan Lopez, so we're going to have to see if these drivers that are up in the top 7 can make it the rest of the way on fuel. If not, could have a shakeup here of who's going to make it and who's not, but I think we can safely say Jordan Lopez has enough fuel, and he's got enough space and enough time to coast if he wanted to. Through turns 3 and 4. One of the strongest cars of the evening is going to win this race. Jordan Lopez comes out of turn number 4, and he will take his first checkered flag of the season. He'll win the non-charter race here tonight at Arizona Speedway. Cittadino had to come to pit road under the closing stages, and he at the time had one of the transfer spots into the main event, as did couple of other drivers. Daniel Gilbert, he came to pit road. I believe Tyler Deaver came to pit road as well. And we have some new faces up in the top 7 that will be transferring into the main event race, including Charles Jackson, Becca Tellier, David Culpepper, and for the second straight week, the 93 of Jonathan Zoerlein. I don't know if the stands are official, but some drivers, wow. I didn't think that the fuel window was that close, where some drivers couldn't even make it the entire way without having to pit another and final time. But that was apparently the case. Lopez will take home the win. That's his first of the season, and as we mentioned, he came into this race down in 29th in points. This is a big, big win for this team. They'll try and see if they can follow this up with some more good momentum in the upcoming weeks. Alex Gray will finish in second. I believe that's his best finish of the season. Charles Jackson will finish in third. Matt McIntire fourth. Becca Tellier will finish in fifth. I think she's going to be making her second start of the season. David Culpepper in sixth. That's a great run for the 97 team. We mentioned he had just moved his way up into the top 5 in the points, so he'll keep himself there with a 6th place run today. Jonathan Zoerlein continues his climb through the point stands. He jumped up to 12th with his win last week at Phoenix, and now a 7th place run. That will probably move him into the top 10. Joshua Zakuli, great run there for that 33 car. Henry Nova, well-needed run in 9th, and Caleb Farrell will complete the top 10. Caleb will stay in the top 5 in the points as well with that run here this evening. K Shearer finishes out the day in the 11th position. The driver he was running down for the points lead, Daniel Gilbert, not finishing well, as he did not make it the entire way on fuel, had to come to pit road late. He finishes 34th, so I believe the points lead is going to get flip-flopped again here today at Arizona. Seems like K Shearer and Daniel Gilbert can't decide who wants to be the points leader heading into what race, but I believe K Shearer will now take the points lead back heading into next week's event. But that is going to do it here tonight from Arizona. Hope you enjoyed tonight's race. If you did, be sure to give this video a like. Subscribe to become part of the crew today. We've shown you full finisher results. We will show you now your point standings heading into next week. Up next is the Pizza Hut X Series race here from Arizona, as well as the Hersheys Cup Series main event race, as the chase for the championship for those 2 series continues on. We'll see you guys next time, as you've been watching production of NNSCRA, offline racing at its best.